Hello. I can think of a specific idea, but I have a bunch of little ideas. So we're going to work with a bunch of little ideas today. I'm going to call this Reflections from the Dyslexic Brain. Cool. So, first reflection from the Dyslexic Brain. Why am I really good at some things and really bad at some things? Example. I can't tie my shoelaces. I cannot tie my shoelaces. Can't do it. Brain can't do it. Brain sees loop. Brain tries to do loop. I can do very simple little knot, but I can't do the normal one you do for your shoes. Can't do it. That's just how my brain works, okay? You give me a new word, I struggle. I can't do the phoneme thing where I put the words together, right? But if you tell me about your experience and your life, I'm like pretty instantly gonna have a really good idea of like the emotive core of your experience. I am really good at 3D like spatial imaging in my head. So if you like describe something to me, I can see it very clearly in my mind. I can rotate it very kind of concretely. My mind's eye is very active. I don't formally know how to play any instruments. I've never been taught how to play any, but I just have a natural aptitude for music. I can pick up an instrument like this guitar right here, and I've never been trained, but I can messes it up. You know, I can talk to you and I can kind of jam through, and I'm like not amazing, but my brain just kind of likes it. It's weird. Brains are weird. So, also, another thing here. I actually like reading, but I find it really tiring. So sometimes I'll sit down and I'll try and read a book, and I'll be like, oh, wow, this is a really interesting topic, but something about the reading is exhausting me. I got through a book recently, Gary Stevenson's The Trading Game, 400 pages, really long book, really kind of exhausting for me to get through, but it was also really enthralling. So... And I kind of learned the other day that apparently dyslexic brains, they use more zones when we read. We use more zones. So there's the left and right hemisphere, and there's like more zones that we use on one side of the hemisphere. That's pretty interesting. I feel like I do spend a lot more energy when I read, and then obviously, I wouldn't say obviously, but neurologically speaking, we kind of create neural pathways like roads, and they optimize those roads so you use like less juice to get the same output, right? We optimize in our head and our brains. Very cool, very cool. But dyslexic brains struggle to optimize the reading specifically, but are better at optimizing other things like spatial 3D stuff, and guitar is a spatial 3D thing. You know, I can also play piano. I've never been taught how to play. I wish I could practice more, but I could talk here and I could play some jazz piano for you. It's always jazz for some reason. It's weird. Brains are weird. So I feel like my brain's really good at some things, not so good at other things. And I guess I wanted to talk about the reflections from the dyslexic brain specifically because I feel like it really hits to a weird core of my own self-confidence. So like sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm really good at this, and I'm really good at that, and I'm like killing it, and I'm feeling on top of the world. And then sometimes I'm like, I can't do basic things, and my brain box is like humming and struggling, and I feel dumb. And it's really interesting, a contrast that I think over time in my dyslexic brain, I've come to be more empathetic and compassionate with the variety of cognition that I am blessed with and cursed with. To the point where sometimes I can like have a really cool, interesting idea, and I've like written short stories of several thousands of words. And I used to write for a living, so I'm pretty good at idea generation. But then like admin detailed work, like I can do it, and I think I've been like training myself to do it for years. But it's like really hard to do to enjoy. But I also bring this up because reflections from a dyslexic brain, I think over time, especially as I've hit my early 30s, something I've really noticed is that like admin's way less painful. It's almost like my prefrontal cortex is like fully developed, and that's the part of your brain that helps you regulate emotions. Being bored is an emotion, so if you're bored or distressed or something, now that's easier to regulate. That comes with time. And something I've noticed actually is I've done a lot of emotional work, so I've improved my ability to process and accept emotional states, but also I have matured, maybe, still quite silly, but cognitively matured. And this has improved my ability to read and to do a lot of boring work. And it's something I wanted to touch on with the boring work thing. I used to find it like physically painful to sit and do boring work all day. Now it's like something that I kind of push myself to do every waking moment. And I think this is the alignment thing I've been thinking about a lot with my dyslexic brain. I really feel like my dyslexic brain has been waiting to shift into the right gear, okay? And like I'm like in that gear right now, and I'm just doing, and I'm just making, and I'm just drinking tea and being very British. And it's really cool. It's really exciting. Even though the environment around me has shifted and changed outside of my control, I certainly feel I've come into my own in what I actually want to do with my time. When I'm like not working on my business or doing something that I feel is kind of productive and practical, I actually don't like it. I don't like it. I like to be in a pace of work, and this is an interesting reflection for me as somebody who grew up in an environment where I feel like everyone was incredibly work shy, in that everyone hated putting in effort and doing what some might define as work consistently. I've had a really challenging relationship with work, in that I feel profoundly anxious and terrified by it for a very, very long time, but I also love the ideas of it, so I overcommit, get overwhelmed, cop out. But now I'm kind of liking this. When I'm not doing it, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I want to do something. I want to make something. I have 3 jobs, guys. I am a full-time carer. Okay, so I do 36 hours of that. I work on my business at least 15, 20 hours a week. And I'm also a trainee mental health counsellor, where I currently work for a counselling agency where I have clients through that. That's my week. I don't get days off. I work 7 days a week. And that's kind of insane, you might say. Yes, it is kind of insane. But I don't know. I've never felt more aligned. I've never felt more excited. I've never felt more like, wow, I'm like in my lane doing stuff. It's really meaningful for me. I think losing weight's helped, but working a lot, you know, it weirdly tickles the dyslexia brain. Maybe it's that I feel value from doing things, and that covers over the value I feel, the lack of value I feel when I feel stupid from doing things that my brain finds hard. Weird, but I've always been training myself to be kind of a generalist, to iron out the weaknesses. And now I'm really just trying to go, why don't I just do the things I'm good at? Why don't I just do the good things I'm good at? For years I was like, oh, I'm going to go and like do a master's degree in computer science, right? Never did it in the end, because of the overcommitting and then the ending of the overcommitting. But I really feel like I don't need to round it out. I just need to double down on this. You need to double down on whatever you're good at. Whatever you're good at, double down on it. Whatever I'm good at, I need to double down on it. The dyslexic brain has no other gear. I must use this, the blessing and curse double-edged blade, in a way that I feel resonates with my values and what I'm about. So what does that even mean for you, if you've even got this far in the video? I would say it means try stuff out, and if it feels like it leans into a strength of yours, keep doing it. No one's going to reward you for being balanced. Nobody is balanced. Whoever seems balanced is a lie. They're not balanced. They're a chaotic goblin that wants to yell in the background of videos. That's kind of me. I want to yell in the background of videos. I've got a goblin energy on me today. And yeah, whatever you're doing is good and valuable, and enjoy the process. I'm really trying to enjoy the process. I think that's what's got me going. Like, I do feel really overwhelmed sometimes in the quantity of work I have that I'm doing, but sometimes I give myself half days off and I kind of roam around and wander and go to the forest and touch some grass and then get some perspective on the world, and then I come back and I do more work and I keep going and going and going and going. And it's really interesting because it's having me engage with a lot of things I've always wanted to do, right? I don't know if you guys have dreams and ambitions like I do, but I actually really like making things. I find it incredibly fulfilling, but I've had so much ego about it for so long. I think that's because of my dyslexic brain, right? Because it's been kind of like, I see the big goods and the big bads, and the big good and bads, I'm desperately trying to cover up the big bads and have the big goods shine more, but I can't make the big goods gooder without accepting the big bads. Okay, and now I'm just accepting the big bads more, I think, and that's helping me do more things. But reflections from the dyslexic brain, that's where I'm at, that's where I'm leaving it. You've been whoever you are and wonderful. I've been Will. Take care. See you in the next one.